This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. It's another Thursday. Here we are, live. 97.7 KCYP, The City, out of McAllen, Texas. Local radio program here. We're going off on YouTube. We're going off on Facebook. We're going on TuneIn Radio and Radio Garden. Those last two are apps. So this is the Bitcoin Otter Show. I'm excited about the stuff we're going to talk about today. We got a lot of stuff going on. It's just here we are with more and more every single day. Sue, glad to see you're on. Hopefully Jim and Dad are there with you. Love you guys. So what I'm seeing, okay, and this is awesome, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the economic barometer, if you will, what I'm seeing, and seriously, this is emerging, is an acceleration of narrative. So whatever's going to happen, and we have hopes, right? We have hopes for many different things to happen. For instance, income tax going away, right? These things are just, it's like they're tangible. They're right here. They're just almost in front of us. Arrest for Epstein Island, all that stuff. Oh, almost here, but not quite, because there's a plan in place and we're not privy to it. However, I am not losing hope. I'm still optimistic. But today we're going to discuss how these narratives are not only moving forward, but they're accelerating. First things first. This is the verse of the day. And here in the studio, just before airing on, we're discussing the 97.7 City KCYP ministry that we have here that Joe Martinez has, right? He's the owner of the radio station and the studio and everything. And we're hoping, between me, Renee, Juanito's behind the camera also, we're hoping that at some point we could break that barrier so that Joe would, be able to pay some bills around here and stuff like that. So anyway, this feeds right into the verse that I had already pre-selected for today. It's out of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to believe these things. I do fully, hopefully enough for the rest of us. But I can tell you that if you give yourself and your plans to God, your plans will succeed. If you do it in the way that you know is the way, you don't rip anybody off, you're not hurting anyone, you play rules, your plans are going to succeed. Will it take hard work? Will you have failure? Yes. You look at this that the average look for. Relationships. Right? Is someone better off because of your efforts? Things like that. So that verse, commit to the Lord whatever you do and your plans will succeed. That's our verse of the day. Now, where are we with Bitcoin? We backtracked a little. That's fine. We're still over $100,000 for one Bitcoin. Okay. If we were to go back in the Otter Show, probably close to 3 years now, I'd be talking about 30,000 something for a Bitcoin. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. That's why Bitcoin is the best asset since 2009 that you can throw your money at. It's not me. It's the numbers talking. Anyway, silver. We're seeing a little pump there. $35.88 for an ounce of silver. Gold, $3,364 for an ounce of gold. Your average mortgage rate, unfortunately, is at 6.97%. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. That's the Fed's doing. They don't want to back down on that because that would make the economy better. And they're not about making the economy better because that would help you. And they're not about helping you. So the 30-year rate, 6.97, 15-year rate, not much lower at 6.14%. So that does suck for anyone who really has to buy a house right now. Hopefully you're not in that position. Crypto news. Here's some interesting news. Eric Trump threatens Magic Eden. Magic Eden is some sort of grifty type organization. Over Trump wallet announcement, what's going on? Magic Eden announced a Trump-branded crypto wallet this week, but the launch drew immediate backlash from the Trump family, showing growing tensions between political branding and crypto ventures. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't bite on these things, okay? especially when it comes to crypto wallets. They're very sensitive places to bank your money. Because remember, if you're in crypto, you are the bank. Yes, that's why bankers hate us. Anyway, and we don't really like them much. The major NFT marketplace announced Tuesday that it had partnered with the team behind the Trump meme coin to roll out the official Trump wallet. Eric Trump, however, was quick to reject any affiliation. He stated that the project is not authorized by Trump and warned Magic Eden to exercise extreme caution when using their name for a venture that hasn't been approved by anyone within their organization. Ladies and gentlemen, please do your research about things, all things crypto. Make sure that you have custody of your own coins. Make sure that if you are going to use some sort of exchange, educate yourself. There are decentralized exchanges where you never have to store your coins there. Change Now is my favorite. They don't pay me any money. I'm not promoting them in any other way, but I've used them successfully, and I'll use that as an example. Okay. So this is out of Zero Hedge. Jim, good to see you. This is out of Zero Hedge. Musk to immediately decommission SpaceX Dragon after Trump threat. Doubles down on Epstein claims. Ooh, what do we have here? We have the storm brewing of a fight between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Things are heating up, ladies and gentlemen. Things are heating up. And if you watch TV, I'm sorry, and you're probably not tuning into this show if you do watch TV, because you probably don't like the things we say on this show, because it pretty much destroys your news sources. Why? Because we're using truthful things. Anyway, so, and this is from Zero Hedge, and they open it up dramatically. And as if it was on cue, Musk just announced he'll begin decommissioning the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft immediately. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a storm brewing. Okay, rocks have been thrown, apparently, right? To me, it started with Elon Musk saying that the big, beautiful bill wasn't tenable, wasn't a good thing, wasn't doing the things that he, as the former head of Doge, was attempting to accomplish by cutting excess spending, fraud, of which there was immense amounts. There still is. All that stuff. He claims that it was not going to help the country. It was not going to do what it was supposed to do, and it doesn't help the deficit, which is a big concern as far as the narrative goes. The deficit is a big concern, obviously, but that's not the core of this whole narrative. Now, what also happened was Musk tweeted out, or whatever you call it now on X, he posted that the reason why, and thank you, Joe Paredes. I don't know if you're watching the show right now. If so, it hasn't popped up yet. But what I'm seeing is a play here. We're seeing a play, a narrative rolling out. So Elon Musk says the reason why the Epstein files have not been released, okay, is that Donald Trump is in those files. Ooh, wow. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know as well as I do that, of course, he's in the files. He has flown on that particular plane, okay, a couple times. Now, he's never gone to the island, right? But let's just imagine you and me are billionaires, right? Yeah, that's cool. I mean, we can imagine that. I'm sure we can, right? We go to a party. Maybe we meet up at a convention somewhere in Vegas or whatever, have a good time. And, my kids need to use the jet, my jet. And you're like, oh, hey, yeah, Otter, why don't we take my jet? I'll take you home. Yeah, okay. And they get on the jet, and I go back to, I don't know what I would call my estate. I can't call it Mar-a-Lago. That name's taken. Mara Otter. How's that? Mara Otter. Yeah, I'll try that. So what we can do is figure out what might be going on here. So you can imagine being a billionaire right now. I mean, let's say, right now, me and Renee, after the show, we go out for a couple drinks or something, and, I can't drive. I would get a ride from him because, well, he's got a vehicle, right? Same with billionaires, only their vehicle is a jet, right? Yeah, just upscale a little bit, just a little bit from what, we are right now. Anyway, this is what happened. So where are we going with this? Where are they? More importantly, where are they going with this? Apparently, and this story, let me look into a text message here from Joe. This came from Raw News Alerts. Raw Alerts. It looks like it was an X post. Breaking. Democrats are now demanding the release of the Epstein files. Democrats demanding the release of Epstein files. They're all over them. Anyway, after Elon Musk reportedly claimed that Donald Trump is named in them, suggesting that this is the real reason the documents have been kept from the public. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, this tangled web we weave. We're not weaving it, right? We're just trying to figure out the nuances and figure out where things are going. You guys got any philosophy or theories about it? Throw it out here in the chat. But I'm telling you, this is getting more and more interesting. So let's see what happens. If it's even true, I mean, it could be a power play by the White Hats, right? I mean, they could be just making these claims that the Democrats want. I mean, Adam Schiff, the Standard Hotel, and Shifty Schiff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Adam Schiff, the Standard Hotel. You will find out exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is getting better by the day, and I'll keep you updated on this, but it's getting juicy. Things are heating up. Things are quickening. They can't happen fast enough for those of us that have been paying attention. So here's something from Zero Hedge. ES-addled CNN reporter shares link to accused murderer Mangioni's defense fund. Now, this happened before. I didn't have a show last week. So this woman, Caitlin Collins, oh man, she's frigid. This woman has issues. I mean, there could be an argument that says they all do, but what I'm saying is, I digress. What I'm saying is that this woman has some serious issues, right? So apparently, White House correspondent, reporter, so-called reporter, she's an activist. She's not a reporter, right? She's facing calls for her firing after she posted a link to the defense fund of Luigi Mangione, the guy charged with shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, because she's okay with people getting killed. I'm sure she was okay with the Trump assassination. She probably wasn't, because it didn't succeed, right? So these are the kind of people. These are the people that dominate the left. They populate it. They are it, okay? These kinds of people, right? They want inclusivity, but they don't want to include you if you don't believe in what they do. Anyway, this is also, again, and this is going on another narrative here. We're going to roll from narrative to narrative here. This is, again, from Zero Hedge. Risk of escalation with Russia going way up due to Ukrainian attacks. President Donald Trump's special envoy to the Ukraine conflict said that recent Ukrainian attacks on Russian air bases have created a significant risk of escalation in the war. I'm telling you, the risk levels are going up. I mean, what happened this weekend? Trump's envoy, Keith Kellogg, told Fox News. Now, this is heating up, but it's not heating up because Donald Trump or even Vladimir Putin are heating it up. It is being heated up because the warmongers of the deep state want war desperately, more than anything else. So they will do whatever it takes. They'll be, blowing up Russian aircraft. They'll be doing what it takes to attack Russia. And who knows, maybe it's even a false flag. How do we know anything from, the news is true? They were the ones, remember, telling us that, the bioweapon was safe and effective. They were the ones that were telling us that you wouldn't get the dreaded, possibly Ukraine, possibly Wuhan disease if you were to get that gene therapy shot, right? They said it was safe, effective, and it works. If you get it, wow, you won't be sick. Yeah, we know those are lies. And we also know that these are the same people that said that Diaper Joe was fully competent, ready to lead the country, and had no sort of mental defects that anyone should be concerned about. while he's in the White House. Then we come to find out that this auto pen has been ruling the White House, and the auto pen was basically by some group of unelected schmucks in the White House. Yeah, schmucks. And they were the ones running, I think it was like in one day, I want to say 1,900 or 2,900 commutations of prison sentences by these hacks that were running the auto pen that, the average TV watcher, not us, of course, we know the real shot, but average TV watchers thought Joe Biden was in charge. He was running things. He had perfect control over the country, but not his bowels. So that's the kind of thing that we have to think of when we think of somebody like this Caitlin Collins, and even more when we get a little bit later into the show, the spokesperson, the face of all things inclusive in DEI, Jean Karine, something like that, whatever her name is. Anyway, we'll get into her in a little bit. This is from X, Polymarket Intel. Trump on Elon Musk. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval Desk. Wow, this is Trump. Renee, do we have the I'm going to back up a little bit here because this is going to completely. I'm not going to say we're going to blow things out of the water because you guys have heard about this before. But if you haven't, and I don't think any of you are TV watchers. But if you're a TV watcher, you haven't seen this and you don't know what I'm going to talk about. But it's called the Black Eye Club. And the Black Eye Club is shrouded in mystery, if you will, but it's something that members, or I should say better said, assets of the deep state, the Illuminati, the Khazarian Mafia, the criminal cartel, whatever you want to call them, right? That whole organization, which there are so few people, right? We outnumber them at scale profusely. So this is Donald Trump speaking about Elon Musk. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval Office desk. Ooh. Even with a black eye. So Trump is pointing this out. I said, this is Trump. I said, do you want a little makeup? He said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting. Why would Trump say this is interesting? Because Elon wanted it to be shown. You and I know that Trump is in on this too. He knows why. He's just saying it's interesting. Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore, he says. So, ladies and gents, the Black Eye Club, and I think we have, Renee, feel free to put it up there on the screen. I don't know if this will show up behind me. I don't know if it'll show up on your screen itself.
It'll show it on the screen.
It'll show it on the screen. Will my voice be heard or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can kind of narrate it.
I already clicked on, you want me to click on the whole group?
Yeah. So I don't see it on my feed. I don't know if it's coming out. Do you guys see it? I don't know, Jim, Sue, do you guys see that? I don't know if you're seeing it. There we go. It's on. It's up. So going from left to right, that's a reporter on the left. Can't remember his name. That's Hussein. He's got a black eye. The Pope, Frankie, he's got a black eye. Iron Man's got a black eye. All these people with black eyes. There's the traitor, John McCain. He's got a black eye. John Kerry. George, I did 9/11. Bush, he's on there. There's all kinds of, there's that one, I don't want to call her what she really is because there's might be kids listening. Ellen DeGenerate, she's in there. All kinds of freakazoids. So you've got your politicians. You've got, there's the prince. Oh, that schmuck, that prince. Yeah. So looks like a banker next to him with a black eye. And there's a bunch of them. So this Black Eye Club, Ben Affleck, he's there. Kanye, I see him. So these people, and it's real coincidental that they have all these things, right? So what I'm thinking, and you guys, if you have other thoughts about the issue, let me know. But what I'm thinking is that this is a way the deep state, the usual suspects, the whatever you want to call them, this is a way they mark their territory. And every once in a while, these people have to come in and take one for the team, the evil Luciferian team. And when they do this, they are, in my opinion, obligated to show up somewhere publicly with a black eye. And that's why, Trump was basically alluding to the fact that he tried to let them know that, hey, you can have some makeup. We got people that'll do that here. They put the orange stuff on him all the time, right? But what's his name? Musk didn't want that. He didn't want makeup because, according to the theory that I didn't make up, but I've seen enough evidence to say that it's completely possible. There he is, right there. Thank you, Renee. So Elon stood there with his Doge hat on. So he's still, guys, he's still a player. And I still think he's in with the White Hats. But the show that's going on is the plausible yet deniable. It's they are getting, if we're to believe the story, the narrative, they're getting Democrats to demand exposure of the Epstein files. Do you think you'd ever hear that? Do you think that would ever occur if all this is going on? Sue says, these are just literal black eyes. Can you imagine the figurative list? Yes. See, now you're getting on the wavelength that I've been following this for years, probably since 2017, 2018, this Black Eye Club. There's also other things called the Red Shoe Club. I won't get into that on Facebook because they're gonna blackball me and they'll probably take it down right now. But if you want a little bit of info on that, Bitcoin Otter at secure.com or Bitcoin Otter at Gmail, Bitcoin Otter at .media@gmail.com, or hit me up on Facebook and we'll offline. So I have a lot of information about this stuff. As I said, I've been following this kind of stuff for a long time. Not that I know more than you. I'm not saying that. If you know something, please throw it my way. Like Joe did, Joe Paredes. He just he sent out that whole thing about the Democrats wanting to basically expose the Epstein files, which would be true and actual suicide to them, because the owners of Epstein Island, the owners of the Diddy, freak off parters, parties, those people, those things, those entities are created as blackmail factories. I know I've gone over this before, but as a blackmail factory, they lure in all kinds of different people to get with way underage people that they have as slaves, literal slaves. So this whole one eye thing it's pretty deep. And again, if you want more on that, Bitcoin Otter at secure.com. Let's see here. Proud Elephant. Justin is on X. President Trump bans visas for foreign students at Harvard. Ladies and gentlemen, there is more than what meets the eye with all of the things that are being put forward by the Trump administration. My translation of this, my understanding of this, is that there's something going on with Harvard, and I'm sure other universities too. But part of the insurrection by this cult, by the deep state, by the, again, international criminal cartel, all that stuff, whatever you want to call them, part of the insurrection that occurred when they overthrew our country was the university system being hijacked. We can't have an educated society and have an insurrection at the same time, not based on our, our rule of law system. Now, of course, they've completely subverted that, I understand. But if we have truly educated people, then what we're going to receive, what we're going to understand is that they will be able to parse out narratives related to current events. We don't have that. We have TV watchers. We have people that actually believe what's going on the news. So I have former friends that are not amenable to hearing any truth because it's not coming from what they call a legitimate news source. Yeah. So they consider that the people who lied all during the pandemic, the people who lied about stuff that you're putting in your body, the people who lied about Joe not needing diapers and, being competent and all that, those people are telling the truth about important issues today. And if their so-called news information doesn't come through those channels, then they're not going to accept it. It is backwards. It is completely unhinged. But hey, that's who they are. I'm not gonna judge their souls. I'm not in that business. gods in there, I am just going to say that their outlook is amazing and unbelievable to me. Not so much anymore, but it was when I first started this. So these foreign visa students at Harvard that are banned, that's a great thing. That to me is a great thing. Why? Because they're making a ton of money. Imagine the payoffs involved. Look at the endowment of Harvard. You want to get wowed? You want something to really impact your brain pan? Check out the size of the Harvard endowment. And what can you do? Okay, if you're communist with a war chest like that, wow. Libs of TikTok on X says, Christian McGee, the North Carolina teen who was suspended from school for using the term illegal alien in class, will receive $20,000 and a public apology from the Davidson County Board of Education after they falsely accuse him of racial bias. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, and I know that in our audience, we have a lot of people that can attest to this. One, the term illegal alien is a legal term, meaning in the codified law, okay, you can go to the U.S. Code, United States Code, okay, we can go to 8 USC 1325, 8 USC 1324. We can go there. We can also talk about others, but the term illegal alien is a legal term used in courtrooms all around the country. Unless you're a communist, you won't use it. Now, this kid apparently wrote a paper, or maybe he was just speaking in class about a paper that he wrote, or he was reading it, I don't know. But the Board of Education came after him, and now he's going to get a public apology. Ladies and gentlemen, the movement for truth, the movement for a greater America, at some point will require all of us to do something. Now, maybe I'm not doing a heck of a lot by having a podcast, radio show, and ministry, trying to explain to people how to avoid financial distress for the average, American via, Bitcoin and other things. But maybe that's not enough. Once I retire, hopefully I'll get into more things and be more active in my community. But I'll tell you right now, these Board of Education types, we need to replace them. Okay. These people are running roughshod over our communities. If you can't say that a legal term, in this case, illegal alien, and then claim that that term is connected to racial bias, you are the racist. How do I mean? We have in this audience, and I know you're going to, if you're not here live, you're going to be listening to it. Many people that I know and love, brothers and sisters, know that we have a large amount of Romanians, or we had back in, the Biden administration, Romanian illegal aliens. Now, in case you haven't checked, Romanians are pasty white. Yeah. And you know what we did with them? We did the same thing, okay, with our more melanin-enhanced illegal aliens. We did the same thing, whether you were white and pasty or melanin-enhanced. It didn't matter. Now, I won't get into the whole, hey, we're all one race thing again, because that seems obvious. But these people are the racists, because they automatically assume that someone says illegal alien, it means a person that has an abundance of melanin. Ladies and gentlemen, why do they always go to race? And why do they always have an accusatory attitude toward those people who use proper terminology, of which illegal alien is? Okay? And why do they always connect it to race? You know the answer as well as I do. That's all they have. That's all they have. When their policies are falling on the backs of American taxpayers. Now, I digress here, but let's just go to the Medicare thing. They found out that 1.4 million illegal aliens, yes, I'll say it again, illegal aliens were on the Medicare rolls. And I'm not a Republican, and I know they're compromised, but the Democrat Party is even more so. The Democrats are always crying about Donald Trump wanting to take away benefits. Social Security is going to mess with it. Medicare is going to mess with it. Well, how about the fact that places like California allowed illegal aliens to get on the Medicaid rolls? Medicare. Do you think that stressed that amount of people, 1.4 something million people? Do you think that might have stressed the system a little bit? Okay. So you and me, we work. We go to work. And these people, whether they work or not, they're here illegally. What have they put in to Social Security? What have they put in to the Medicaid, Medicare system? When in California, homeless vets everywhere, homeless vets. Let's not take care of them. Let's take care of the illegal aliens, because homeless vets are not going to vote Democrat. Illegal aliens will. Yeah, that's the end. That's the shot right there. That's the end result. So God bless Mr. Christian McGee, who's getting 20 grand and a public apology from the Davidson County Board of Education. Those bunch of crazy quacks. This is also from the X22 report on X. California recently passed a bill allowing undocumented immigrants to count ballots in its election. I forgot that one was coming up. I make my own points here, not because I'm some sort of brainiac, but because it's out there and in your face, unless you watch TV. Wowzers. So, we got any comments over there on Restream, Renee?
Nothing yet.
All right, nothing yet. Okay. Now, you guys know, and I don't know if it's just the live version or maybe it's even once we go off the air, we are, it seems to be anyway, heavily shadow banned on Facebook. It's just something we got to deal with. We're talking about things that they don't want you to know. So, as a break, the halftime break that the great Joe Martinez, who's on vacation right now, taught me about when I first got into this radio biz, we're going out from 97.7 KCYP, the city. That's Joe Martinez's The City ministry, nonprofit. And we're enjoying this. We're also going out on Radio Garden and TuneIn Radio. We're going out on Facebook, and we're going on YouTube, unless I said that already. But this is the Bitcoin Otter Show, and we are glad to host your ideas. If you want to post them up, your theories, your attention. And I don't take it lightly that you're listening. And I know a lot of you do listen while you're on the road and, have your hands full or whatever. And I thank you for that. So this is from the Gateway Pundit. USDA whistleblower says Biden regime secretly crushed white farmers by only paying off farmer loans if they were not whites or not white males. Well, I guess women were okay for them, unless, of course, they're, in a track meet or something. You can have men do that. A whistleblower from the Department of Agriculture told News Nation that the Biden administration loan relief program purportedly hurt white farmers. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that in this society, right? The Biden regime, through the American Rescue Act, used $800 million, wow, in taxpayer money to secretly give loan forgiveness to minority farmers. It's not right, the USDA whistleblower told. It was discriminatory, unethical, and the people who pushed it are still in charge of the agency. Those at the national office. Trump hasn't gotten rid of them. Wow. Another bit of shade thrown at Donald Trump, huh? Wow. All of these rocks being thrown at Trump are not without purpose. Now, they might be a purpose different from those that are claiming to throw rocks. Because what I can tell you is that anything that serves to expose corruption, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a good thing. Is a good thing. And I've always said this. If Donald Trump is corrupt, okay, if he is, then we need to deal with that corruption. Now, we know that the left is always saying that he is, but we know that he's not. How do we know? Because if he was, they'd have already put him in jail. I mean, how many lawsuits have they had? Impeachment accusations, investigations. How many? Endless. He is the cleanest, squeaky clean government employee who doesn't take a salary, of course, government employee in the existence of the U.S. government. He's the cleanest, probably in the whole world. If they would have had something, anything, they got to make stuff up. They got to literally make stuff up. How do they make stuff up? Well, they find out what crimes they're doing, and then they project it on Donald Trump. Like, what's her name out there in New York? What was her name? And you guys remember her name? The one that was saying that Donald Trump overvalued Mar-a-Lago to get a loan, and then he paid the loan back and all that. There was no victim, but they accused him of overvaluing Mar-a-Lago to get more loan money, right? And that's exactly what they did. And now she's under indictment. If you guys can think of the name, I can't remember, Letitia James, right? She was doing that very thing. So when they can't be original, okay, they just look up their own crimes and say, what am I doing that's criminal? Oh, okay, let's accuse Donald Trump of doing that. Every single time, ladies and gentlemen, every single time without fail, we can see these things blowing up back in the communist faces. So it's not just a one-off observation. So when they throw rocks like, hey, the people are still at the agency, the racists that are discriminating against people of how would you say, a melanin deficiency, if you want to say, I don't know, whatever. Then, well, Trump hasn't gotten rid of them, they say. Well, they've exposed it. The whistleblower exposed it for a reason. Let's see what happens. Red State. Antifa, and I'm going to read the translation. Trans-Tifa violently attacked a Christian worship service, and then the story gets so much worse. This, again, is from last week. So I didn't have a show last week. So I'm backtracking on some important things. So this was a Christian worship service. It was a concert, Christian music. And it was violently attacked by Antifa and other pro-transgender individuals in Seattle on Saturday. Police had to intervene, leading to several arrests as black-clad and masked counter-protesters tried to tear down fencing and rush the event. Others exposed themselves publicly, as a completely normal, totally adjusted person would do. So these are the people that get naked in front of kids, do despicable things in front of kids. And then when someone is singing in worship to God Almighty, they got to show their stuff. They pull their pants down, their skirts, their shirts, and they do nasty stuff because, they hate God. Whatever. I don't care. They're not going to beat us. So they had a bit of chaos, and then there was a reporter who says, he says, what do you want to say? And he's speaking to the pastor of the event, the pastor that led the event, organized the event. So the reporter says, what do you want to say to the rest of the country watching this nationally? A lot of people don't believe this kind of far-left violence and militant behavior is happening in a place like Seattle. And the pastor said, I think it's because of the silence of the church. So my message to the rest of the country is, we've got to stop being silent. Stop being inside the four walls of the church. Step outside the four walls of the church and bring the love of Jesus Christ to the most dark places we see. Ladies and gentlemen, this is so true, this message. The church, okay, the Christian church is not inside a building. It's inside you and me. We are, if you are a Christian, the church. A building cannot contain God. Nothing can, nor can he contain his kingdom. It cannot contain his kingdom. So our silence is pretty much what this pastor is describing. Our silence is basically making us complicit in this violent, militant behavior that's all around people in Seattle, because it's an ugly place. I'll say that. That's me. That's my take about Seattle. I never want to go there at all, unless they, clean it up. And if not, well, remember CHOP or whatever that place was? So this brings to light a little bit of an irony. What irony am I speaking about? So leftists, communists, collectivists, they all love this diversity, DEI stuff, right? And the I stands for inclusivity. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid at all. Equality, all that they claim these terms are fitting and fair, which they are not in their interpretation anyway, the way they roll out. So inclusivity means you include everyone. So these trans-Tifa people don't want to include these Christian people. Why? Because they claim that they hate them. Yet hear from their leader's mouth says that they want to bring the love of Jesus Christ to the most dark places we see. The love of Jesus Christ, rightfully seen in the Bible, is not only harmless, okay? It's not only harmless, but it provides for the betterment of humans. So what we're getting into right now is that we as Americans, regardless of what your faith background is, we as Americans are having to deal with what I call communism, and many others call communism. At the very least, it's a collectivist mindset, which is not fitting for America. And if we are silent about it, I am not, okay, in any way promoting violence. Please, I am not doing that. But I'm also not promoting silence. Speak up. This is my way of doing it. You can find yours. And I'm sure you do. I'm not speaking to people who are not active on social media and so forth for our freedoms. I know that. Thank you for doing so. So this also is from, it looks like, the Gateway Pundit, if I remember correctly. No, Red State, I believe. Peter Doocy is having a field day torching Karine Jean-Pierre, her attempts to rewrite history. So Peter Doocy on Karine Jean-Pierre's new book. You know, it's like I had a dream. And I opened up the first page of her book about the broken White House, and the first sentence says, Peter Doocy told me, and I didn't listen to him. Of course she didn't. She doesn't want to hear you. She was making money. Money. Anyway. So, and this is something I definitely want to say before the end of the show, which is coming up. One, thank you for showing up. Two, all these book deals and I posted about this earlier today. All these book deals for these, staffers and the politicians and celebrities and everything. That is the way that the deep state pays off their assets. So they get in advance for the book. Someone, or perhaps even AI, writes the book, and then they sell a couple copies. But they doesn't matter how much they sell, doesn't matter. Because the point of it was to give them that advance as the payoff. And then, a week later, you see it in the bargain bin for 29 cents, hardcover. So be aware of that. And you don't have to believe me, but you can research it, and I think you'll come to the same conclusion. So anonymous Biden staffers go scorched earth after incompetent Karine Jean-Pierre defects. She defects. Oh, so now she's not a Democrat anymore. Whatever. It only took one day after former White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre left the Democrat Party for anonymous Biden staffers to stab her in the back. According to Axios' Alex Thompson, many of her former colleagues think Jean-Pierre, the face of the White House for more than 2 years, was part of the problem. You think? Well, no Biden staffer has an excuse. No Biden staffer has an excuse and is definitely, without question, implicated in the treasonous acts of that administration, because these people knew that we had a retard in the White House. And I meant that in the clinical sense. Arizona Daily Star. Arizona, I love you as a state. I have family there. But wow, your government is corrupt as hell. And I can't speak as a Texan because we got some scumbag Republicans in this state. I mean, John Cornyn, anyone? Swampy John? Anyway, I digress. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs, the illegitimate governor of, and this is from me, illegitimate governor because she robbed it from the great Kerry Lake. So she vetoed a Republican-backed measure that would have added to the growing list of states banning the communist nation of China from land purchases over national security concerns. So this crackpot, this deep state asset says, additionally, she says, this is Katie Hobbs, the communist. Additionally, it lacks clear implementation criteria and opens the door to arbitrary enforcement, Hobbs wrote in the letter to the legislature issued after the late Monday veto. Lacks clear implementation criteria? My little China girl, Katie Hobbs? My little China girl. Yeah. What do you mean by that? You don't have to have clear implementation criteria when you're the executive officer of the state. You know what? You're the XO. You execute the legislation. You don't have to have clear implementation criteria. Just get out of the pockets of the friggin' communists. But you won't do that, will you? I smell a book deal coming, Miss Hobbs. So, I want to say, and to round out the show, if anybody has any comments or whatever, chime in. But I would like to do something and take this time, if you would be so kind as to grant me your attention. When we look at our economy, and there is an uptick. Were we in a recession? Of course, by every traditional metric until the Biden administration changed the metrics, we were in a recession. Now, the tariff wars, what are they all about? Let me explain this to the best of my ability. Tariffs are useful, extremely useful, when you want to get out of debt, when you want to get out from under the system of slavery that has been enacted since 1913, not just enacted, but imposed upon us Americans, especially once in 1971, I believe it was. Nixon took us off the gold standard, lying to the American people, saying that it was because of prognosticators. Now, the fact of the matter is, if we receive money from the Federal Reserve as a United States entity, as the government does, it is on a loan basis. It's on the basis of a loan. So your tax dollars, I've said this before, I'll say it again. My tax dollars do not go to build any bridges, to fix any highways, to pay any military members, to pay any federal agents, to pay any salaries at all on the federal payroll. Our tax money goes to attempt to, doesn't succeed, pay down the interest on the national debt. Why? Because when the criminals in Washington break the bank, they're always raising, I think 104 times or 103 times the national debt ceiling has been raised. Why even have one, right? So that ceiling is raised all the time. And more money is budgeted by the criminals for the federal government. Now, every year, the Federal Reserve loans the federal government, the criminals in our government, the money that they ask for in the legislation that was passed, the budget, so to speak. Now, what tariffs do is tariffs fill the coffers of the Treasury. The Treasury, the U.S. Treasury, is owned by the United States of America, its people. The Federal Reserve is owned by the same people that I have been talking about all show and for years, the deep state, the Khazarian mafia, the Illuminati, the international criminal cartel. I could go on. They own the Federal Reserve. It's private, ladies and gentlemen. It has never been audited. The Gestapo wing of the Federal Reserve is called the IRS, under which you and I could find ourselves under an audit at any time for any reason. We are subject to audits. The Federal Reserve is not. They are above the law, effectively. Above the law. They act that way too. So, the tariffs, that situation occurred because the bankers in the Federal Reserve took us off of the gold-backed dollar, transitioned it to an petroleum-based dollar using OPEC in the 70s. Now, what that did was it made us lose anything substantial behind, which is gold, behind our currency. What did it also do? It also meant that they had to ship out industry from the United States. And it really happened in the 70s. If any of you are from New York, and I grew up in Buffalo, you'll remember the Father Baker Bridge. I think it was the Father Baker Bridge. I can't remember, but one of the bridges was built with steel from, I think, France or Russia, one of the two. But we had a steel, Bethlehem Steel was right down the road. But they didn't want that. They didn't want that steel because it was American. It cost too much. So what Trump is fixing is this. He's, Mikey, good to see ya. He's fixing the fact that we subsidized the lack of tariffs in every other nation. So the Chinese would have kids, little kids in an iPhone factory, or back then in some steel factory, creating the things that we in America here need. And the fact that they didn't have to pay tariffs meant that they could, greatly, immensely fill their own pockets with our money. So what Donald Trump is trying to do is he's trying to use tariffs to fill the treasury. Where am I going with this? I'll get there in a second. He's going to fill the treasury with money and assets. Remember, we're going to have a Bitcoin reserve. We're going to have our gold got back. We took our gold back from the Vatican, hundreds and hundreds of pounds or kilos or whatever you want dealing. So all this is at some point or another, and I don't know the timeline. I've never received a call from Trump, to be clear. We are going to transition at some point from the debt-based slavery system of the Federal Reserve to the parallel economy that they're ramping up right now. This is why the banks hate tariffs, because tariffs mean that the other countries have to carry their weight. And when they have to carry their weight, this is going to make it so that they might fail in their countries and industrialization needs to come back to the United States, which is exactly what Make America Great Again is all about. Now, my dad, my beloved dad, who's probably watching right now, was an auto worker. The UAW is a strong union. But that doesn't mean they're patriotic. That doesn't mean they side with Trump because of his policy of bringing industrialization back. They've been co-opted by the communists long ago. Unions have, not just that one union. So what we're looking at here, and I hope soon, but things have to be put into place, is a group of patriots that mounted the counterinsurgency after our nation was overthrown in 2020. Some would argue even before that, while a guy who came in on a student visa became president for 8 years. That guy, you know what I'm talking about. Some would say that was, the insurrection, and it was. So the counterinsurgency is not just about a 4-year election. It's about getting us out of this debt slavery that we as a country are in. This is what's going on with tariffs. If you want the sauce, if you want the reason, if you want why I came to believe what I do, hit me up. BitcoinOtter@secure.com. I'm not afraid to explain things. I'm not afraid of arguments. You can try and shoot me down all you want. I don't care. I will politely respond. Okay. Now, all that to say, we're going places, ladies and gentlemen. As the 80s song goes, I wear sunglasses because the future is so bright. Got my shades on, something like that. I don't know. Help me out, Renee. Do you remember that? My future's so bright, I got to wear shades. That's what it was. Yeah, I'm showing my age. Anyway, we have a lot to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. We really do. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. I truly believe that America will be and is on the way to being great again and serving all Americans. Our government needs to serve us instead of us serving it. I believe that day is coming. I have no timetable. I'm not read in on the plan. I am not there. But as a very interested observer, I will share whatever I'm learning with you. And if you think I'm off, I'm open to discussion. I really am. I have no problem with that. Now, as a final recommendation, if you are interested in this kind of stuff, this war of narratives, there's a guy called, he calls himself Burning Bright. He's on Rumble, and he has this show called The Narrative. Man, it runs like 3 hours every Sunday. I don't watch it live, but I listen to it, usually in its entirety. It's a deep dive on these narratives that I'm speaking about, right? Like the supposed war between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. It's a narrative. It's a narrative. And what is the end result of that particular narrative? Well, looks like Democrats are demanding the exposure of the Epstein files. These are the kind of things that I'm talking about. They go much deeper than what anyone on TV or anyone who watches TV can go, because they're not allowed to. They've been programmed not to, conditioned not to. they've been conditioned to sit down at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock, watch the news and not think about anything deeper than what is said there. And perhaps, watch a squirrel on water skis or something like that. Now, it's that time. The show is coming to an end. But again, I want to give you thanks. Shout out and love. Thank you very much for watching the Bitcoin Otter Show. Thank you very much for tuning in, whether it be live or whether it be at your own leisure convenience. I want to reiterate one more thing. The verse of the day, in case you didn't see or start the beginning of the show, from Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. I love you. God bless you. And until next week, have a great and blessed week. Otter's out. Thank you.